Chag Sameach, we can be seated. I hope that the holiday has been special, that your Seders were filling and meaningful, and I hope that they ended very well. You know, our Seder is so ordered. Of course, Seder means order, and there are very specific stages to the Seder. But somehow, when I ask people, each of their Seders end differently. Some Seders end with the meal. Some Seders end with the afikomen. Some Seders end with dessert. Some Seders end with Lashana Haba Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. Some Seders end with Hatikva. Some Seders end with the songs and Chad Gadya. I'd like today to talk a little bit about Chad Gadya, my favorite closing song of the Seder, which could be considered the Jewish version of Old MacDonald Had a Farm. At our Seder, we assign each participant providing an appropriate sound or gesture for each of Chad Gadya's characters. Written in Aramaic and modeled on a German folk song, the ballad, with no direct connection to Pesach, entered the Ashkenazi Haggadah in the 1500s. On the simplest level, it teaches us about cause and effect, about crime and punishment. This Ashkenazic tradition actually entered the Sephardic Haggadah as well, and it's considered like Mother Goose's "This is the house that Jack built." Every deed will find retribution, and for every strong thing in the world, there is something stronger, considered frivolous and belittling by some rabbis over the years. They removed Chad Gadya from their Haggadot. Defending the poem, though, others found hidden significance in the song. It can be read as an allegory of the Jewish people's fate against the nations, the one-of-a-kind kid purchased by the Almighty for 2 zuzim, the 2 tablets on Mount Sinai. The cat stands for Assyria, the dog stands for Babylonia, the stick stands for Persia, the fire stands for Greece, the water for Rome, the ox for the Saracens, the shoichet, the butcher, for the Crusaders, the angel of death, the Ottomans. You get the picture. In this morality play, retribution is exacted, but the Jewish people survive. And the Seder ends on a note of jubilation and the prospect of life everlasting with the death of death. Dr. Erica Brown teaches that this fanciful whimsy of a song introduces characters that each have a destructive relationship with the previous character. They swallow them. While it's a song performed with enthusiasm, props, and sound effects, it actually has a very dark message. Are we on this night of Pesach suggesting that so many of our enemies have come to swallow and obliterate us? Well, we, the Jewish people, get the last laugh. We still survive to sing about our own vulnerability, for we are the one little goat, Chad Gadya, who outdid their domestic enemies, and we even beat the larger, more threatening, harder but looming enemies. And God ultimately intervenes, making sure that we are protected, we are redeemed, and that's the message how we close the Seder. The song asks us not to fear the repetition of our hardest hours in history, because God can break the cycle of violence and ensure that we endure. It also communicates a personal message that we see ourselves as a vulnerable little goat facing difficult walls ahead. It's this one little goat, the small innocent symbol of all that is precious and fragile in this world, that lives on to symbolize our freedom in eternity. We stay that small and humble goat, for our humility is the hallmark of our identity, along with the tuzim, the 2 tablets, the laws that keep us holy. Elie Wiesel responds to Chad Gadya with this teaching. Here we are ready to conclude with this beautiful, innocent song, the story of a father who buys a little goat for his child, but everything then goes wrong. God's creatures wound and devour one another. The elements try to destroy one another. What a puzzling way to end a joyous meal, Elie Wiesel writes. Is it intended to illustrate the workings of divine justice, to arouse compassion for the little goat? The song evokes the destiny of our people, the Jewish people. But who symbolizes the Jewish people in the song? Is it the goat? Surely not, for he disappears. Rather, the Jewish people are symbolized by the child who receives the goat. The child, though saddened by the goat's disappearance, remains until the end. But when is that? The end is when death is defeated. The end is the death of death. But where is the love in this song? Where is the joy and the redemption? They are actually there. They are in the relationship between the child and the goat, between the goat and this song, between the Father and all of them and all of us. The real meaning of the song may be that in Jewish history, all creatures, all beings, all events are interconnected. They're all part of our story. Sometimes stories can be sad. Still, it's important to tell them and retell them, to live them again and again this year and next, when we shall meet again around our Seder table. This year, a new Haggadah was printed. I'm not sure how many of you received it. This is the Haggadah of Freedom, which was published by Israel's Hostage and Missing Families Forum. And they conclude their Haggadah with this message from Shlomo and Smadar Goren Alfasa, who lived in Kibbutz Nir Oz. At the end of the Seder in Kibbutz Nir Oz, we would always break out into great song, the song Chad Gadya. There's one interpretation that this stark, violent continuation was meant as a scare tactic to keep children awake even to the last moment of the Seder. At some point in our kibbutz, this song was omitted. The kibbutz on the Gaza border that was violently attacked on October 7th. Their Haggadah replaces the original song with a poem, also called Chad Gadya, written by Levine Kipnis. It goes from a mountaintop, from the hilltop, a shepherd will play a tune on his flute, a new song for the people of Israel. The song represents unity, where a dog stands guard, where a cat is not complacent, where the ox works the field and a plow harvests the land. And during the Seder at Kibbutz Nir Oz, the children would act out the poem so as not to fall asleep. And the amazing kindergarten teacher, Mia Goren, would stage the poem with all the children acting it out. The commentary was dedicated to the memory of Avner, Smadar's brother, and his wife Maya, her sister-in-law, who were taken hostage and murdered on October 7th, in memory of their dog Scar, who was murdered in their safe room, in honor of their cat George, who is still roaming the empty kibbutz, searching for his owners. Chad Gadya, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs teaches that this children's song tells us much about what sustains our Judaism as a faith for longer under arduous circumstances. The Jewish love of children is the focus of this song, that we Jews look forward to the future even more than we look back to the past. When we begin the Seder with the 4 questions, we also conclude it with a children's nursery rhyme, reminding ourselves that what sustains a faith is not strength, not power, but the ability to inspire successive generations of children to add their voice to our people's song. The song itself, he teaches, is disarming in its simplicity. It teaches, though, the great truth of Jewish hope, that though many nations attacked Israel, each in turn has vanished into oblivion. And at the end of days, God will even vanquish the angel of death, inaugurating a world that is filled with peace, long life, the 2 great Jewish loves. Perhaps there is a deeper symbolism that the kid eaten by the cat reminds us the story of Joseph sold into slavery. But his father Jacob never gave up hope about meeting his son Joseph again. His refusal to be comforted was a refusal to give up hope, and in the end it was justified. Joseph was alive. Father and son were reunited. Chad Gadya expresses the Jewish refusal to give up hope. Though history is full of man's humanity to fellow man, dog bites cat, stick hits dog. That's not the final verse of the Haggadah. The Haggadah ends with the death of death, with eternal life. a fitting end for a story for a people dedicated to Moses' command, V'chai bahem, you shall choose life. And lastly, the New American Haggadah by Jonathan Safran Foer. This amusing song has an awesome meaning, the importance of small acts. Follow the song all the way through. One little goat is ultimately responsible for smiting the angel of death by God. Most great movements in our world for change start by small acts by anonymous people. Think of Shifra and Puah, the midwives in our Torah. The power of a single human being is awesome. We each have the power within ourselves to spark change through the lives that we lead. Judaism is the religion of humanity when we respond to the God of freedom. If a mere goat can bring about such change, just imagine what you and I can do. Chag Sameach.